What do you do if someone you love is addicted to drugs or alcohol? With us this morning, Mary Jo Claremont Hansen from Claremont Counseling Services. One of the things I know you mentioned was practice healthy detachment. What do you mean specifically?
Well, it's really easy to get into complete focus on the person with the drugs and alcohol. You're watching them, you're looking for things, you're looking for, all this compulsive watchfulness. What the family member needs to start doing is about detaching, that they didn't cause the addiction. They can't control it by pouring out the booze or hiding things or trying to limit the use. They can't control it, and they can't cure it. So once the awareness of that, the focus needs to also be on themselves and taking care of themselves. Their day, their 24 hours isn't compulsively thinking how to fix, how to take care of, and how for it to end. It's getting educated about the disease. It is a disease. The American Medical Association said in 1956 that drug and alcohol addiction, or what we call substance use disorders now, is a disease. So by knowing that, if there was a growth on someone's face, you would request, can we take you to the doctor? To be able to have the conversation, but at the same time, family members to let go, you've done what you can, possibly, look into a formal intervention if needed, but the ruminating and obsessing 24/7 is unhealthy for the person that loves the addict.
Well, and I know for families too, knowing that it is a disease and admitting that to yourself can sometimes mean, I know I have to turn it over to a professional. I know I can't cure this myself.
Right, and they're not drinking and using because they don't love you. They're drinking and using to that degree because they're in an addiction and a cycle. And it's hard for them to break that, even though they intend to, even though they say they will. Most often, people need some kind of going to a treatment facility or going to Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous. They need a bigger thing to help them break the cycle they're in.
Parent or son and daughter is different, but let's say you're with someone that you love. At what point do you just go, you know what, I got to just step out of the situation? Because I think the affairs of the heart are so tough to deal with, from just a sort of normal standpoint. So when do you go, all right, I got to let you just do your thing?
People get to that point. You know what, there's times out of self-preservation. Sometimes they stay in the relationship, but there's not a whole lot of communication in the house. And sometimes it's not a safe place to stay. And so they do need to consider living with a friend or looking into an apartment, because not everybody agrees to get help. And even those that agree to get help, there's a high relapse rate. So it's a hard thing, but at the same time, you can either have two people drown together or have one that jumps out and said, I did everything I could. It's up to you now. I'm going to go take care of myself now. So, good question, Chris.
Thanks.
I know there's only so much support you can give in, and sometimes you just need to take a step back.
Exactly. And, there's Al-Anon and Codependents Anonymous as support for family members. And for the person with the addiction, there's Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous. We have wonderful treatment facilities here in Fargo, Hartview, and Bismarck. In town, we've got First Step Recovery. There's a lot of help. The hope is that people will reach out and take it. No different than any other illness or disease. It's not a moral failing. This is just a problem that needs intervention.
Let's say there's a spouse or someone that wants to get a hold of you. How do they go about doing that?
I'm in the Yellow Pages and on the web, Claremont Counseling Center, and I do offer support to families and people struggling with addictions as well. And you know what, there's a lot of great information on the website. Hazelton is a wonderful treatment center in the Twin Cities. Mayo Clinic's got information on their website. There's really a lot of resources out there.
Thank you, Mary Jo.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it very much.
Thank you.
Stay with us. When we come back, we're talking about, did you ever get maybe tennis elbow, or?
Maybe sometimes.
You're going to find out how to cure it next, right after this.